Hello, come on in, sit down. My name is Onyx Turner. Very few people have known of my existence, so I doubt you have heard of me before today. I was a freelance mercenary, spy, or whatever else one might need, for I possess a particular skill no one else has ever had. I am a shapeshifter. After many years of retirement, I have decided to make a record of my exploits, and that is what this is. Welcome to the Turner Chronicles. Chronicle 3. Location: Seoul, South Korea. Time: 7 o'clock p.m. Objective: bug a Russian politician. When I flew into Seoul from Munich, I assumed I would have a week or two of relaxation time, a vacation as you will. However, when I landed, there was a job already waiting for me. The Yakuza wanted to hire me to bug a visiting Russian politician during a party that he was holding 2 days from when I landed. For those of you unfamiliar with the Yakuza, they're basically the Japanese mafia. Not someone I wanted to cross, and they could be a powerful ally, so I accepted the job. This was no easy job, however. Bugging a politician of any country is hard enough on their home turf, let alone when they're visiting another country. And due to the relationship between South Korea and Russia, I was unsure of why he was visiting. I was also unsure of why the Yakuza wanted me to bug a Russian politician. I do not know why the Japanese have an interest in Russian and South Korean affairs, but it's not really any of my business. I was just hired to do a job. After a little bit of research, I discovered where the party was going to be held. It was at a very fancy restaurant in the downtown area. Many ways to come, many ways to go. But I assumed the Russians would be very thorough in making sure it was secure. Hopefully, by this point in the planning, they had already vetted all of the staff, so I could simply just take control of one of their lives for a short time. This should not be too hard, as I can literally become them. Their mannerisms, and if they have any friends on the staff team, is going to be the only foreseeable issue. Before the party, I needed to get a couple things ready. One, I needed a getaway car, as the location within Seoul did not allow for many other routes of escape, and I wanted to avoid the airport, as that is how I came in. I'd settled on a port exit. There was one southwest of the city, and I was okay with the drive. I managed to purchase a sports car, Lamborghini, very fast, very sleek, and decided to have that waiting a block away from the restaurant. Getaway strategy completed. Next, how was I going to get to my car? No one questions a janitor, especially when they're wandering around a building. So I figured I would get a janitorial uniform. The only issue with this is that, I didn't know where to get one. Of all the things that I can acquire on short notice through my various contacts, common clothing has never been one of them. So I had to go shopping. And in a country where I was not super fluent in the language, this was an interesting experience. Thankfully, I looked the part and no one questioned me. It only took me a day and a half to get together the necessary supplies for the upcoming party. I got the car in place the day before, so that was perfect. When it came time for the party, I was ready. I wore my janitorial uniform and gained access to the building through a neat little trick I like to call lockpicking. Once inside, it was a simple matter to get one of the waiters to help me with a task, and then, of course, let him slip into sweet unconsciousness. After borrowing his clothes, I returned and began preparing with all of the rest of the staff for the party that was happening in 2 hours at 7 p.m. sharp. I knew that once I bugged the ambassador, I would have about 45 seconds to get out of the building before people realized that the waiter was missing. At least, I hoped I would have 45 seconds. It would be long enough. I could do it. If I could get the time. I set a timer on my watch for 45 seconds. My plan was to hit that as soon as I placed the bug. Now, to make sure I could get close enough to the politician, that was going to take a good deal of acting once the party started. And I was ready. The time for the party rolled around, and all the guests started to arrive. There was a tension in the staff rooms due to the high priority of this party and how many important people would be attending. But while everyone was focused on this celebrity or that politician, I had my sights set on one person, and he was the last to arrive. You could definitely tell when the Russians rolled up as the demeanor of the entire party changed. It was almost as if everyone was waiting for something to happen, good or bad. No one knew for sure. Well, something would happen. I'm not sure if it was good or bad, but it was going to happen nonetheless. The festivities commenced, and people mingled for about an hour and a half before the head chef signaled we should start taking out the plates. Myself and 2 other waiters were the first out the doors, our carts piled high with various dishes. We stopped at various places around the room and gave each person a dish. It seemed to be some sort of noodle concoction. I don't know, it was not my focus. As I was taking the cart back to the kitchen, I took a slightly different route than I came into the room, and as I passed the Russian, bumped his chair with the cart. This caused a bit of a commotion with his guards as 2 of them jumped to their feet, ready to defend him at all costs, until they realized that it was just a simple accident. However, it was not a simple accident, as during the commotion, I managed to slip the bug into his shirt pocket, one place no one ever looks. A little sleight of hand trick was all it took. Honestly, very easy. After dropping that right on in there, I apologized profusely in broken Russian. Now the politician and his guards were clearly amused at this, as they were not expecting to come across any Russians in this city, besides translators. I, however, was quite fluent in it, and it took a bit of skill to speak in broken Russian instead of fluent. There's not many times where broken Russian is used more than fluent Russian, and I hadn't kept up with my languages as well as I should have. Anyways, I took the cart back into the kitchen. It started to get loaded up again, and I excused myself to go to the restroom. This is where I started my timer. I glanced at it. 44, 43. I walked to the room with a steady pace. Any show of fear and someone would think something was up, as tensions were still very high for this party. I continued towards the restroom, and past it, I glanced at my watch. 33, 32. I picked up the pace a little bit and got out of my waiter's outfit. I'd stashed it in a closet and changed my appearance to that of an elderly Korean man. I glanced at my watch at this point. It was down to 25 seconds. I briskly walked to the back of the building and exited through one of the staff entrances, using that little-known skill of lockpicking I talked about earlier. My car was thankfully waiting for me, and I hopped right on in. The engine fired up, and man, did she sound good. I smiled to myself. That was an easy job. Easy paycheck. I can take jobs like that all day. Maybe this was a vacation. I aimed my car southwest and sped off towards the port. About an hour later, I was on a boat headed for the beautiful islands of Hawaii.